live. Hey, hi everyone. Welcome for another episode of the Puppet Podcast. I'm Caroline, Caro BD, and I'm based in Montreal. I'm doing this podcast because I want the passion of puppetry going all over social media during this pandemic time. So I'm so happy to have those wonderful guests. So let me bring in the screen the little promoting. So tonight we receive David and Han Powell. Da-da-da. Yes. So I'm really happy they are part of the show. So before we go into the interview, everyone, feel free to write to us from where you are watching, from where you are in the world. And also, if you have any question during the podcast for the guests, feel free to write because we can see your comments and chat during the interview. That's the magic of the live interview. So before, I need to talk about this weekend that we will have with our wonderful Derek Lux from Derek Lux Entertainment and Deluxe Puppet. So let me bring in the screen this wonderful promo about this workshop that we do on Sunday. It's in the afternoon for East time, so it's at 2. But if you're in Pacific zone, it will be at 11. Or if you're in Europe, it will be maybe at 5, 6, 7 in the afternoon. So let's gather around. We will do some trick about hand, step by step, to make the process of making basic rod puppet hand. So it will be really, really interesting. So let me flip this, because if you don't know Derek, feel free to have a look on his Instagram. It's really full of great things, and we will get over the material and all of this stuff. So that will be a wonderful community moment online. So yeah, everyone, happy to have you here. Feel free to write to us all the way long. Like, yeah, we have Lauren from Montreal watching, and from everywhere. We love to hear from you. So here, let me introduce those wonderful guests. They are from Canada. They are pretty close, more west side of Montreal. But let me bring them in the screen. They have the Puppetmongers Theatre. So please welcome Anne and David. Ta-da! We have a round of applause. Yay! Yay! Let's have you close like this. Hello, you're both. Yay!
Hello.
Thank you to be part of the Puppet Podcast.
We are delighted to be here.
Yay! So I want you to introduce yourself. I know you work, I look online, you send me picture, but I really love when the puppeteer introduce themselves, their work. So could you do so for the community?
Okay. So we're brother and sister. She's a year and a half older than me and about this much taller, but she's right now sitting on a taller chair. So actually, no, we look about the same now.
There we are now.
Yeah. We started as puppets with kids with the marionettes, the string ones,
Pelham puppets,
and slowly started building our own. And after art school here in Toronto, we started being puppetmongers, and that was
1974.
So like 76 years ago or so.
76.
46. I can't count. I keep the books.
Uh-oh.
Anyways, and we have created maybe a dozen shows.
Mm-hmm.
We've toured all across Canada, quite a bit in the States, quite a bit in Europe.
A couple of times to Iran.
Yeah. And things like that. I had a nice fat Canada Council grant once and went to Indonesia to look at the puppetry and fell in love with the music. It was good. Music was bad.
And I had a small amount of money from the Toronto Public Libraries, wanted to send somebody to the 1976 World UNIMA conference in Moscow. And no librarians wanted to go, so they chose a puppeteer, and for some reason they chose me. So that was a fantastic trip too. I went to Turkey and other places as well at the same time. Amazing trip.
Yeah.
And actually, a story out of that, that's how we got invited to Iran the first time to perform at the International Puppetry Festival. On a bus full of puppeteers going between theaters, and the guy sidled up to me and said, "Do you do puppet shows?" "Yeah." "You want to come to Iran?" "Sure." So David got a postcard from him. "You want to go to Iran this summer?" It was
Yeah.
Wonderful experience.
Yeah, quite of a clash of culture to go over there, maybe, eh?
Didn't
Yes and
seem much of
no.
a clash.
Yeah, it was just fascinating. The East, West, old, new. Very, very interesting time to be there.
Yeah, I met some wonderful people.
And came home and created a show based on what we'd seen, choosing a folktale from that part of the world. And the show really included a lot of the travels we'd done there.
That's so cool. You have the stuff.
Yeah.
So
Right there.
rod puppet type control,
Yeah. Yeah, Rod.
but with our hands mostly, though they do have strength.
Oh, yeah. So you can have both possibility.
Yes.
Yeah, and we're visible. We work on the stage with them because we just had a large carpet on the floor
That's
and a
cool.
cloth background to us. And so we're on there with them, and they just sit and chat and do what they need to do.
That's
Without-
perfect.
Working them like this. Yeah.
Yeah. We have Stephen here who say Puppetmonger are adorable.
Oh,
Yeah. So cool. So are you ready for the deep question of the
Go
puppet?
for it. Go for it.
Yes. The first one is about the why. Like, why do you cherish the art of puppetry?
we thought we might answer that by showing you a whole bunch of the puppets and the range of what we like about it.
Yeah, but also it made me think of it wasn't a puppeteer, but a theatre aficionado in Belgium we met one time who said he always used to go to theatre, and then he came across a puppetry festival, and it blew his mind. He said, "You go to live theatre, you sort of know what to expect. There's humans on stage, a scenery, an interesting story. You go to puppetry, you have no idea what you're going to expect. You cannot go in with expectations of any kind. It's going to be extraordinary every time." So yeah.
So we've sort of taken that to heart. And
I would go bigger like this. I think it's
so
better.
one of the shows, it's set in Russia, and the characters are all based on folk toys. So this is a very angry peasant, and he's a jumping jack.
And this one, the mother, "No, I don't know. Well, no. She's based on a tea cozy I saw in Russia. So that would be the teapot handle, and the head and shoulders and a big skirt to go over the teapot.
Wow.
It just suited the character.
That's so original and full of symbols and sense. I really enjoy it.
Yes. And actually that show we've had, when we finish it, members from the audience will come up and start talking to us in Russian because they just assume we must be Russian to have told that story the way we told it.
And then we did a show about piracy in China in the early 1800s, and used horizontal rod controls for some very simple fight scenes.
And this character here is the main character. She's a widow piratess. And here she is at the beginning of the show, where she's a young,
Good to all.
yes, oops, a dancer
Wow.
by a pirate. And there's another, here's one of the lovely things about puppetry. So here's this puppet, and she has to change and go become a pirate. So, didn't have to run on stage and change her costume, complete with arms underneath. There she is. So the coat has puppets, arm attached to it. So you can do it that way or that way. So it's just, we love solving these problems because you're on stage. You don't have to rush off stage and change something and come back again. It's
Or make
just
two,
right there.
two puppets.
Simple magic.
Wow. That's brilliant.
These are all on bases, and there's a little button here. So she can stand, and we can move other puppets because we had a lot of characters. And we can just click that button and actually remove the base she was on. It just unclips. So now she's freestanding, and basically there's the base.
Wow.
And some of the slightly lesser characters, there were many characters in the play, and it became very confusing for the audience to tell who was who. So would have. So each of the other pirate admirals was made with a different material. One had a rock on his head. This one is a wooden a bit of an old tree. One was a nautical knot on his head.
Give you a close up of his head.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
And then there were lesser characters, we didn't get them out, which are just 2x2 pieces of wood with bits of fabric on them and stuff to give the impression of a person. And we could just knock them around, they could fight, do whatever we wanted to do with them. Which usually is so very precious with your puppets because they're so beautifully made. These ones we could toss off the edge of ships, hack at them, everything else. Yeah.
We had one who was actually designed to be broken and made a horrible cracking noise when it happened because he had to be killed every time as an official who got caught by the pirates.
Doing something he shouldn't. Yeah.
And it's
very, very big, like this guy behind here.
It's a lot of possibility, as you said, and the magic of it.
That's right. And this one has to eat. He's cooking 2 chickens, and he just loves the flavor of them. So he eats.
Yeah, let's bring it closer.
Okay.
Maybe lower than that.
Maybe he's lower than that. Okay. So his hands, big strap on, and I slide the hand in there.
Yeah.
Wow.
Move his hands.
So he can pick up the bits of chicken.
Yeah, he picks things up. He's a cook. He's a chef. He has a mouth, but it's not for talking. It's for when he eats everything he's cooked. So we just open it and throw everything in. Because inside him is inside here is just a big bag that everything gets caught in.
With a zipper across the bottom so we can get it out again after. This is a rubber chicken we chopped up.
Yes. And his hat is rather funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of different size of puppets. Then there's this little guy in the same show. He's actually the main character, Chris, who's telling part of each of the 4 stories in the play.
Yeah. I love the originality of the color.
Yeah, and he's actually based on a lot of my daughter's old cloth dolls that she had. Really interesting how the arm would be shaped and the neck would be shaped.
In the first show we did as Puppetmongers, puppets on the table there. It's going to move that slightly later. There we go.
Yeah.
This is the mama, and she's designed to wiggle.
Yeah, she wiggles.
She has a nice wiggle. And she had to have a bunch of kids. So the kids all work together as a group. They're on a base.
Oh, yeah. They are in the same
grab
place.
them and run with them when she has to run off with all the kids. Yeah.
And the head just works. I'm just working ahead by working with my hand. We're very visible on stage. So we learned very quickly how to disappear on stage and be visible when we want to be visible, and invisible when we want to be invisible.
Yeah. Last time, I'm not going to do the shadows.
That's right.
We've done a bunch with shadows. I'm not going to show the little tricky in here.
Thinking of scale, sometimes if you go really, really big, you can also go really, really small. In this box is the whole cast of a show, all the little puppets. The thing is, though, a lovely little box, but the show is so big, it fills the whole van. Because it's a big doll's house. Very performing.
Yeah.
So it's actually the Princess and the Pea. There's the princess, one of her. There are actually 5 of her, and her getting ready for bed, riding muddy, being dressed in the morning. The Queen, there's 2 of her in evening wear and her morning wear. And they're also working very much like the puppet just showed you, where there's just a little rod at the back of the hand to work them. And their heads like this. And she has a base, so she stands.
Yeah.
Oh.
Want to show yourself?
Oh, yeah. Here was a funny thing. I built this show actually as a solo show back in the first performing it actually in 85 at the Puppeters of America Festival. And I had built a little puppet of a nanny to go in the show. But it just didn't end up being in the show. But funnily enough, in the show, I wear black. I'm the housekeeper. And I've kind of grown into the puppet. This is me when I wear black.
And some years later, I muscled my way into the show. And there was one job man in the show. So I dress as him. And I become George, the odd job man.
Yeah.
Doing all the odd
work.
So
it helps the audience partly also. That isn't all little tiny puppets through the whole show. Every now and then we sort of jump back and have human size to take a breath and go back in for show.
And there's a little bit of shadow work as well.
Yes.
Of postcards from the traffic thing.
So now for the serious questions.
Yeah, but that's what. Yeah, why? I get it. I saw it. You demonstrate your passion just into motion with puppets. It's perfect. I want to know in second the crush. Do you have like a specific moment where you feel your crush for puppetry happened?
Well, how we started, in a way, it wasn't like, oh my God, but I was 8, David was 7. And my parents, going out looking at the toy shops, what on earth to give us, gave me a Pelham puppet, a little fluffy poodle. And we both looked at, oh. And we had relatives at that time who sent us money for Christmas too. And we both went out and bought another one. And we just started collecting more. Our dad made us a stage for us, and it just sort of grew out of that. Yeah. And then when we were teenagers, moved to Canada, the local library heard about us. We had an article in the paper, and they booked us and they paid us. And they, ooh, we get paid for this? And it sort of snowballed and snowballed. It wasn't like we ever decided, okay, we're going to make a business of this. It sort of took us along on the wave in a way. Yeah. And here we are still doing it.
Yeah. And it's my next question is more about the field of study, because every path of puppeteer are so different. But I want to know, in your opinion, what would be the best field of study to become a puppeteer?
Well, we run our school of puppetry and do workshops, and we run an intensive in the summer. So we often have other people come in and teach. And often for us, it isn't just about how to build a puppet. There's so many other aspects to build excellent theater. And actually made a little list here of improv, movement, voice, mechanics, construction, visual arts, sculpture, mime, storytelling. It just goes on and on.
You really, the great thing with puppetry is it's a multi-art form. It's a multimedia. Now, you could be a builder only, or you could be a performer only. But it's very important, I think, for someone building puppets to know how they are being used.
And the people using them knowing how they're built as well.
The communication. For a few years, we've been teaching at a college here, Humber College, a puppetry course. We've been working on that. And what they do is they get the actor performers and the technician shop people working together, building puppets and working out acts for them as part of their syllabus in the second year there. It's been really good seeing how that all ties together.
So that the students going out, many of whom only want to build puppets, but they'll go into the business, into a theatre company or something. So they'll understand that when they're given a picture of a puppet to make, there are questions to be asked.
Yeah. They can solve it.
Size of hands, maybe.
What's it going to do?
In the show?
What does it need to do?
Yeah.
That's totally true.
We mended a few puppets that theatre companies bring us, say, can you make this work the way we need it to work, please? Yeah,
we've actually also worked a lot with theatre companies on different productions, helping them build puppets or work out how to use them. It's really, really interesting.
Yeah, do quite a bit of mentoring as well.
One of the things we discovered when we went into, they brought all the cast together and we did a workshop on puppetry for them. We found that half the actors instantly played and became puppeteers. The other half, it was people, look at me, I'm holding a puppet.
And it's really hard to
break that barrier is very hard. Yes. So there's a guy here who has figured out some steps for that, and we always bring him in. Mike Peterson, a puppeteer in Toronto, who is really good at breaking down that and helping people actually get to put themselves into the puppet.
We did a workshop called "Teach Your Puppet to Act."
Yes.
Totally, and it's so sometimes difficult, but at some time, some people have an instinct for that.
That's it.
It comes really down to playing with the puppet, finding out who the puppet character is. Bringing it out.
We always find that we build puppets and then they show us what they want to do. I mean, we've got an idea, we've got a story, but the actual character and how they're going to do it comes from the puppet.
And the script also, how they're going to express themselves.
That comes later. We don't write script until after we've got everything going. We'll have an idea, we'll have scenes worked out. But
storyboard, lots. It's such a visual theatre form.
Yes.
Otherwise, you just end up endless dialogue if you're not a good script writer.
Me.
Boring.
That's so true. And this bring me my next question about your definition, because puppetry is a large spectrum of stuff. What is your own definition in your own word of a puppet?
You thought of that one?
Animating the inanimate. In fact, often I talk about animating rather than manipulating. Manipulating is just moving something around. Animating is finding the life in it. Very So, yeah, simple.
Yeah. And one of the shows we did, what we animated was the audience.
It wasn't there was some, I guess there was a bit of shadow puppetry.
Little bit.
Not much, yeah.
We did The Fall of the House of Usher as a environmental piece, environment, as in the audience was part of the show in an old industrial building. And what, I don't know if you know the story, but it's about this decadent, falling apart family, and they have a guest who comes. So the entire audience, we had a small group, maybe 20 people at a time, were the guest. They were treated as one person, and they went through the show, through the story, as the guest.
So the actor of the main guy, of the main part, spoke to the audience as though they were his guest, a single guest in the house.
And then we had 4 people also acting as sort of like sheepdogs, but they were actors playing parts, organizing and guiding things through the building, and live music. You had to run around the building so you could be hidden and play from this corner and then go play over there. It was a wonderful piece.
Wow. That's brilliant. They become the puppet, or it's like you manipulate them.
At the end of the show, every time, we always brought out some beer and everyone had a chat. And an actress who'd been in the audience said, you know, I've never been in a show before where I've looked around at the audience to see who might protect me.
We weren't coming at them with knives.
No, we weren't that dangerous, but it was creepy.
Yeah, it was creepy.
Well,
They didn't know where they were going to be going next.
yeah, so interesting. I want to ask you for the future, like I always like to ask the big purpose. Like, do you have something you have envisioned for the future? Maybe it's about legacy of puppetry. Maybe it's about like your company, your career. I want to hear you on your big goals.
Okay, well, we've been around a long time, and we've always managed to maintain a studio and gathered all sorts of tools and library and puppets and all sorts of stuff from all over the world. We've got this incredible collection of stuff. What we're in the process of actually doing, we've been talking with arts councils and stuff and assistants about setting up a space that's a puppetry space for the puppetry community to use, because most people, I know in Montreal, you always complain, but there is money for the arts. Outside of Quebec, there really is not.
And many puppeteers here are building in their kitchens, their bedrooms.
Yeah, there just isn't the facility. So we've got the equipment. So the long-term plan is that we would be able to set up a space that goes forward after us as a place for puppeteers to work.
Yeah, and carry on, hopefully, the School of Puppetry and
have teaching, all that stuff, yes.
And access to the library, the collection, research.
Yeah, because since 96, we've been running a School of Puppetry, teaching people who want to know about puppet stuff. We bring all sorts of other people in, other puppeteers, other theater people to teach in it. We have weekend classes occasionally, and we have a 2-week intensive usually. This next year, it'll have to be online. We have a mini festival called Fresh Ideas in Puppetry Day. So it's all, we do a program called PXL, Puppetry Exploratory Laboratory, which is a thing over several months with people who have a plan of a show they want to work on, and we help them through with it.
Or they just want to work on a show. They can also apply that way.
So we've been doing all these things. It'd be great if some of these ideas could carry on after us, because we're going to be quitting eventually. We've got the gray hair now.
Yeah, but it's such a good dream for. It's not a dream; it will be a reality. I need to
That's the plan.
Yeah, we're not just staying at home dreaming about it. We're actually trying to take some action on it.
Yeah, and that's so great. That we need those kind of things to help the community, for sure.
Yeah, and I think another part of our legacy really is we're not leaving the company to anybody. Our shows won't go on being done by anybody. It's more about the legacy of thinking more widely about puppet theater. I mean, we're just showing you some of the stuff we've been doing, just playing with ideas and putting them out there on stage and solving interesting problems in interesting ways.
Yeah.
Just that puppet thinking. And we do see it more and more creeping into regular theatre, which is very exciting to see.
Mm-hmm. Oh, thinking of puppet thinking, when we did Charles Dickens' piece, Hard Times. And it's a really grim story. We worked with a theatre director who'd not done puppet work before. But there's one scene where the young woman is being forced to marry a guy who's twice her age and absolutely awful. And his puppet thinking had worked by then. Mm-hmm. What we did was we put the puppet of the young woman on a chair in the middle of the stage. And then we all just slowly got closer and closer to her while talking. She wasn't moving.
I was acting as the father, speaking about this marriage that was going to take place and blah, 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 and making it happen. And then the two manipulators, two puppeteers, moved in slowly. The
puppet's just standing on a chair, no one touching it. Yeah. And it was just creepiest, wonderful puppet moment without moving.
Yeah. Puppet did nothing.
Wow.
The scene.
Yeah.
Yes.
So we love that sort of thing. Yeah. Get the thinking, keeping going on.
Yeah. I guess it isn't, yes, for us, it isn't just about the puppets. It's also the sets for us are very much part of the show. Oh, yeah. The staging, very much part of the storytelling of how, yes, just exactly as David was just saying, to get an emotion across.
So it is a theatre form.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
Totally. And I want to ask you, where do you see puppetry like in 10 years?
Bigger and better.
We hope.
Well, not bigger necessarily, but better. Yes. More of it. Yes. More interesting.
Yeah. Do you feel we have the ascension of puppetry right now? Do you feel it's getting more popular or less?
Yeah, I'm sure it'll go down again. It comes and goes. It has done for centuries, eons.
Yes.
Always, yeah.
Looking around the world, a lot of the old traditions are dying out. Mm-hmm. Like in India, it's very hard to find the puppetry, I'm told. Mm. In China, they're having trouble struggling. In Indonesia, it's actually still quite alive because it's a very popular form. It's gone on to film and stuff, but the characters are sort of really part of the national psyche. Mm-hmm. But I think in the Western world, because of theater, you've got Lion King and War Horse and all these big ones that get people interested.
Mm-hmm. Hopefully that thinking goes on. Yeah. Just, oh yes, I saw War Horse. It was nice. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then you got Handspring and so on, doing very interesting things. Yeah. I mean, my note for that question was just that that puppet theatre would be recognized and appreciated as a part of theatre arts, of the bigger picture of theatre, that it's not seen as, oh, it's for kids or something separate, some other kind of theatre, or not theatre even, puppet shows. Just, really like to see that.
Yes, totally. I always ask for the conclusion. If you have another, we get a big parade at the beginning, but maybe you have a little puppet or a piece you want to show us, or just a little blink of your work.
We do.
We do indeed. From a play that we haven't told you anything about. You will now see.
So this was back in
1976.
76. Steve Hansen, a puppeteer from California, was visiting us. We were playing at a festival in Toronto. And one evening, we're sitting around talking with him and a friend. And we start talking about puppet marionettes with the strings that we'd seen at festivals that skate backwards. And we said, you could have a brick on those strings, it'd be just as good. What else could you do with bricks?
That's an interesting thought.
A friend we was visiting at the time is really into circus, and she started saying, how about circus? So we spent the whole night having a great time talking circus acts with bricks. And then we forgot about it. And about 3 months later, we got a postcard from Steve saying, my brick circus opens next week. Where's yours?
So we now have
So we did. Yeah. So we went and built a show. He only did his maybe 3 or 4 times. We've been still doing it ever since. We toured it in France. We toured it all over Europe. Well, all over the place.
The States, Canada,
And it is construction bricks.
Real one, not foam. There is one foam one in the show, a trick one.
Yeah, it's a trick one. But we're going to do a scene from that.
Yeah. Okay.
Are you ready?
I can. Yeah, I will give you the big full screen, and we will be all set. Let me check this out here. Da-da-da. Here.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Brick Brothers Circus is proud to present an acrobatic family from the former Czechoslovakia. we have Alfredo, Alfonso, Alfredo, and Sophie. And ladies and gentlemen, they are going to perform on the Tita Tota. Now, ladies and gentlemen, Alfresco is going to perform on the Tita Tota on stilts. Are you ready, Alfresco?
Yes.
We haven't done it for
Bravo!
that is Cirque du Soleil.
Brick du Soleil, mesdames et messieurs, Brick du Soleil.
We actually have one act based on Cirque du Soleil.
We do, yes.
Oh, yeah.
It's a high trapeze,
Yeah, with smoke and ribbons and the whole bit.
confetti.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, little lights.
It's called Cirque Olay.
That's so perfect. That was quite a number. I love it. That's amazing. Thank you so much for your time. And I want you to plug anything, like if people want to see more of you, where they should go.
Well, our website actually would be a good start because always we'll have stuff there. And right now, during the summer, before our camera was stolen, we'd made some how-to workshops just for families to be doing at home with simple kind of puppetry that we do in classrooms when we go into classrooms.
Toy theater boxes,
Shadow
shadows in a
puppetry,
box,
yeah.
stuff like that.
Yeah. So puppetmongers.com. Very simple.
Yeah.
So anything that's coming up beyond there. We have some, I think, some films that are also
We have a
shows.
bunch of shows,
Yeah.
and we recently did a little toy theater show that we haven't put out there yet, but it's very suitable for this current time. It's a Grimm's fairy tale called Harry and Trina. It's about two very lazy people who, through the story, do less and less until there's nothing.
Yeah, that's so cool. And yes, we will put the link below the interview of your website and all of that.
And if you're interested, I think on the website they can join our email list. That way, anything new is coming up, we let people know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yay! Thank you so much for all of this passion. I really get it, and it's so cool. Yes.
It's been great.
Thanks for the invitation.
It reminds us of what we're all about.
Oh yeah, right. That's what we do. Yeah.
That's perfect. So stay in the virtual studio. We will chat after. I will just do the little conclusion. So I will push you out of the screen. Woohoo! Yeah, everyone. Thank you for watching. That was another amazing interview. So stay tuned for those interviews that we do. This workshop was coming on the weekend on the Patreon. So yeah, like if you go on the Patreon, you can tune in and see all of that from Zoom. We try to do on Zoom soon. So let's be tuned on this. So everyone, have a wonderful evening. Stay safe, and let's see you for another episode of the Puppet Podcast. Let me put this wonderful jingle. Have a good evening, everyone.